Hey up folks, welcome to Behind the Fourth Wall. My name is Rich Gittins, this is my little buddy Dexter. Dexter, oi, hey Dexter. Let's just get into today's episode. One of the questions that I get asked the most is, what is a normal working day like for an actor? Well, I'd say that depends on whether you are currently in a show or filming or anything like that. Whether you're not filming or in a show and you are working a regular day job to be able to pay your rent and your bills and to be able to put food on the table, or whether you're auditioning. So let's take a working day of somebody who's maybe a West End performer or a performer in London. Okay, well, the chances are you'd have gotten off stage maybe about 10:30 at night. You'd have gotten out of costume and wigs and makeup maybe around about 11:15. Maybe you get home by 11:30, 12 o'clock. Now, I don't care who you are. If you've had a standing ovation, let's hope you've had a standing ovation from your audience. There may be 500 people in the audience, maybe 1,000 people, might be 2,000 people in that audience. I don't care who you are. That is a really difficult thing to wind down from. It's invigorating. So it's like having a giant espresso right before you go to bed. So personally, I can't get to sleep till about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. So getting up in the morning, well, that might be a little bit difficult. Not for me, I've got Dexter, and I have to walk him every day, don't we, buddy? Because it's important to have a routine, and there are loads of working mums and dads out there who also don't have the luxury of being able to have a lie-in in the morning. I'm just trying to justify why some performers might find it difficult to get out of bed in the morning. So morning times, well, every day should start with breakfast. Breakfast is incredibly important, most important meal of the day. And being a performer, if you are in work at the time, it can be quite difficult because most of your friends who aren't performers are going off to do their 9-to-5 jobs. So it's quite easy to just waste time during the day watching This Morning and other kinds of reality TV and things like that. And I don't know if that's necessarily very good for anyone, let alone performers. Believe it or not, a lot of us will go off and do some classes when we are free during the day. We might go off to do a yoga class or a Pilates class. It might be that you've got a vocal coach who is helping you with your audition preparation. If you're in a show, it doesn't mean that that is your job for life. We have normally a 12-month contract, so there are vast times where we can find ourselves without work. So making sure you're prepared for your next audition is vitally important. As is knowing what's going on in the industry. It's important to know which shows are extending their runs. It's important to know when contracts are ending on various shows so that you know that they're about to start auditioning for their next set of cast. Now, generally, if you're in a show, then you will be doing an 8-show week. That means you'll be doing 2 days where you'll have 2 show days and you'll have 1 day off. That's generally a Sunday. So, on a show day, they will expect you, the management will expect you to be at the theatre for the half, which is about 35 minutes before the curtain goes up. You'll have a company warm-up as part of that preparation, and then you'll get into your wigs and your makeup and your costume and all those sorts of things. Personally, and I think a lot of other people find this, I like to get to the theatre a little bit earlier than that. I like to do my own warm-up. I like to make sure that I'm prepared for the company warm-up. So that's the sort of rough day, because everybody's very, very different and everyone's an individual, but that's kind of the rough day of a working West End performer. If you find yourself as a performer currently unemployed, then it is really important that you have a job, because you need to be able to pay your bills, you need to be able to pay your rent, you need to be able to put food on the table. And it's important that you've got a job that allows you to be able to go to auditions. So I'm super lucky because I worked incredibly hard to be able to make it so that I am completely self-employed. I teach workshops, which I absolutely love doing. I run a theatre company that works with young people in Hackney and Islington and Camden. So I've got 2 things there that I thoroughly enjoy doing, and I don't resent at all, and I can manage my own time so that I can get to auditions if need be. If you're in a job where your boss is resentful of you going to auditions when auditions come up, then perhaps you're in the wrong job. A lot of performers, they will work as ushers or bar staff or work in theatre in some way because they feel, I guess, that it keeps them in the loop of what's going on in theatre, and it also means that they're able to pay the bills, and it means that they generally have their daytimes free so that they are able to go to auditions. Audition days. man, they could be really nerve-wracking, really nerve-wracking. I mean, I am 40 now, and I think I've only just started to get my head around, and I've been in this industry for 15 years, I think I've only just started to get my head around the idea of auditioning. I approach auditions the same way as I approach show days. I try not to get myself worked up. I try not to get myself too excited about it. I try to go in being quite grounded. At the end of the day, they want to see a version of you, and there is nobody in the world that's better at being you than you. So you've just got to go in and show that element of your personality that matches the character that you're reading for. The thing with auditions, it depends what you're auditioning for. If you've got an audition for a TV show or a film or a West End show, then the chances are you've been sent a load of sides. Sides are just sections from a script. It could be a couple of pages from the script that they would expect you to prepare and pretty much learn, so that when you go into the audition, you can have a real good play around with what it is that they're asking you to do. If you're auditioning for a commercial, then that's slightly different. You might find out on the day, you might find out at 10 o'clock the night before, and you might be given a short section to learn. But ultimately, what they're going to do with a commercial casting is they're going to want you to get into that room and start playing. If they want you to learn a certain section of scripts, then they will tell you that they want you to have learned a certain section of scripts. But generally, I find that whilst both are really playful, sort of TV and theatre castings and commercial castings, I find that the turnaround of commercial castings is much, much, much quicker, and they'll see a lot more people in a day than they might necessarily see for theatre or TV. With commercial castings, it might be that you want to find an element of the costume that you might have at home, just to go in looking a bit more like the character. If a casting director is seeing 500 people that day for that part, then you're going to need to do something that's going to make you stand out. And that doesn't mean going in with an inflatable chicken on your head, unless the part is for a man with an inflatable chicken on his head. But pretty much all the commercials I've ever had, I've gone in with something tokenistic in terms of costumes. So if it's been a man sat on the sofa wearing pyjama bottoms and a football top, then I will go in with a football top. If it's a person who is a plumber, then I'll borrow some overalls and I'll put them on before I go into the casting. Anything you can do basically to differentiate yourself in a positive way from the other people that the casting director is seeing on that day. Whether you're a performer, whether you're self-employed, whether you're in regular employment, it doesn't matter. There are 4 hard and fast rules I would suggest were fundamental to anybody's career. To maintain a level of professionalism, to have a structured life, to be prepared, and please never underestimate how important it is to be a nice person. Thanks for watching this episode of Behind the Fourth Wall. I really hope you found it useful. If you did, please give us a like and a subscribe. But for now, from me and from Dexter, hey, Dexter. Nah, he's busy. See you next time.